Thank you, Hannah, and your panel for that great conversation. The next thing I'm going to do is actually cede the stage to somebody who's an absolute prodigy. She's one of the youngest climate champions in the world. She sits on boards. She works with global leaders. She has maybe 37 hours in a day because she's only 15. But if you look at the list of her accomplishments, they're incredible. And she's going to take over now to be the MC for a little while. So please put your hands together and give a big welcome to Cadet Corporal Eliane Wanjiko.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm doing very well.
You just graduated recently as a cadet corporal in Alabama. Tell me what that training was all about.
Sir. So that training was me building my leadership skills. The most recent course I finished was Cadet Military Police, where we learned how to control riots and handcuffing people and legal language. But my other course was leadership skills. It was Cadet Field Leadership course, where we learn how to lead platoons, troops, people, and cadets, and also how to talk to senior people above you, either your corporal or your sergeant, whatever it is. We learn leadership skills and doing field tactical training exercises and camping outside. It was phenomenal. I loved it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
As a climate and health champion, you work around the world. You've met global leaders, President Macron, among so many others. What are you most passionate about?
I am most passionate about building leaders of today through entrepreneurship, using AI and digital skills, using leadership training for the military, building them spiritually in whatever religion that they follow, but building the leaders, because this is the generation that will be running Unstoppable Africa.
She's only 15. A big round of applause to Eliane. Take it away.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much. Good morning, Unstoppable Africa. There we go. Yesterday, the energy was there. I mean, I know for the people that were at the gala dinner, you guys were dancing. I had to leave because I had to sleep. So, the next speaker is perhaps the best person to imagine a course for Africa's future in the global AI race. We are talking about building our own infrastructure, nurturing our own talent pipelines, and shaping inclusive, homegrown AI solutions for the world. The visionary founder and executive chairman of Econet Global and Cassava Technologies, please welcome Mr. Strive Masiyiwa and Mr. Oswald Jumira, the CEO of Liquid C2. Thank you. There we go. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And before we sit, gentlemen, I have a question for you guys. I have a question for you guys to answer. Okay.
This is the biggest age gap that I've had on a panel.
Oh my God, thank you. My question for both of you, and you could probably talk about this as you're speaking and as you're talking to each other. Because I am the generation that will be running Unstoppable Africa, how do you see all these investments in growing Africa's digital and AI infrastructure impacting young Africans like me? And what advice would you give to us? Thank you. You missed it.
Okay.
Let me run across. Thank you.
Shall I answer it now, or should I wait until the end?
Go for it.
All right. It's a very profound question. She's 15. The life that she's going to lead, to live and work in, is the world of AI. You know, I was listening to an Al Jazeera program the other day where they were saying that the government of China, its Ministry of Education, had just issued an instruction that all children over the age of 6 and above must now be mandatory taught about AI. That is the world that we're about to enter. But another interesting report I listened to the other day was when you and I visited OpenAI in San Francisco. And they told us a very interesting story. they said, you know, which country in the world has the highest adoption rate per capita of ChatGPT?
Kenya.
It's Kenya. But there are quite a few African countries on the league. And they were as curious as I was as to why Kenya, Africa. And I reminded them that the world's youngest continent is Africa.
Yeah.
Our mean age is 19.7.
Wow.
You are the natives of AI. So you shouldn't be afraid.
Yeah.
Whatever it brings, what is important for you is to master it.
Master it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do not be afraid. Never be afraid of the future. So we are doing it for you.
Amen.
We are only stewards of the future. You were talking about planting trees, and I was telling you backstage that I knew Wangari. We were friends. We used to correspond. She was an amazing woman, and it's a great honor to meet her successor and the one who carries her torch. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much, Elian. Rarely do you get an opportunity to sit in front of a big crowd with your boss. I think I'm blessed enough to be sitting here with my chairman to take you guys through some of the work that we're busy with within the AI realm. A couple of years ago, with some people who are with us today, I will call upon Ambassador Philip Thigo, a good colleague of mine. We were discussing a lot about AI infrastructure. After the launch of ChatGPT in November 2022, the question that was on our mind was, where does this leave Africa, and where will we be going beyond the launch of ChatGPT? One of the key infrastructure enablers that we started discussing at that time was compute. The mere fact that we, as Africa, were potentially behind the queue when it comes to compute. So I would like to pose a discussion question today to my chairman so that he can take you through some of the journeys that we have traversed as we look to solve for this problem. Chairman, there's an analogy you keep talking about railway lines and the fact that you are plumbing Africa. Can you take us through that journey as you speak about AI compute?
No, thank you so much. You know, Oswald has been with me all his professional career. He's an incredible engineer, and he heads our cloud computing and cybersecurity group, which we call Liquid C2. And he's one of a team of engineers who over the last 7 years at least have been working in Cassava Technologies on AI. So for us, AI hit our sweet spot as a company because we build digital infrastructure in Africa. We, for the last 20 plus years, we've been the one technology group that split away from the telecom sector to focus on digital infrastructure. So this is not about our telecommunications business, Econet. It's about our digital infrastructure group, which we call Cassava Technologies, which includes Liquid. What they do is to build, they began by building fiber, Oswald. We laid fiber across the African continent, interconnecting Africa from east to west. We laid over 120,000 kilometers of fiber connecting countries to one another. It is one of the most ambitious projects undertaken across a continent. We're the only people who can really say we have a continental network. No one else says it for their continent. But it was possible because of the incredible support of African governments in seeing the vision and in supporting it. And of course, our investment partners, because it's cost a couple of $2 billion for us to do that. But as we evolved with that, we were the first people to recognize as the data was flowing through our pipes, We were calling it plumbing the African continent. We also realized that data storage was coming in the form of data centers. So about 15 years ago, we started to invest in data centers. So we're not new to the data center business. And we started to put in these what they call hyperscale facilities to support the likes of Google, Microsoft, AWS, these big tech companies as they came to put their services on the African continent. So you deal with us on a day-to-day basis through your providers. But of course then AI, we saw the sweet spot of AI as being that the training of these models and what they call the inferencing, as it comes to Africa, we would have an opportunity to host these activities within our data centers. But of course, it would require a completely new kind of data center. So that is what we've been developing.
Thank you very much, sir. I think just to also add, it's been a journey for us. And the guys who joined us in Kigali a couple of months ago, where we announced Cassava AI, I think the vision that you see in the map at the back here tries to elaborate what it is that we are building. The AI factories is the new term that we're going to learn as time goes on. Every other factory that we see today, it has raw materials that come into the factory and we've got products coming out. The question out there is, what is an AI factory? An AI factory is a factory where data comes into the factory. This is structured data, unstructured data, and the output is intelligence. And what do we use the intelligence for? The intelligence that we get out of the AI factory is the one that drives business efficiencies, productivity, and we create products. So as we go on this journey, we're taking all of us along. And ever since we announced in April in Kigali, we have managed to set up most of the infrastructure, and we've got a go-live date in November where the whole of Africa is going to be able to access this infrastructure. We've been working with startups, some of them like Awari who are in the room, Kuala who are in the room, Vambo AI. So we are supporting the tech ecosystem across the continent. This infrastructure is for the continent. But I just want to take it back again to my chairman here. And let's talk a little bit about how we have built this, leveraging on other partners on the continent and globally, and where we are right now. I'll hand it over to you, sir.
Sure, thanks. Thanks, Oswald. Well, look, what we announced, as you will recall, we made the announcement that we had signed an agreement with Nvidia, the US tech giant, to build 5 regional centers and install GPUs. Now, GPUs, as many of you know, is really the fundamental building block in processing artificial intelligence. And Nvidia are the world's most valuable company right now at $4 trillion because of their having this unique product called the GPU, graphic processing unit. Right now, before our project, Africa had only 80 GPUs. We signed an agreement with Nvidia for 12,000 to be installed in 5 regional centers, which act as the focal nodes for the whole continent. Let me tell you, they're quite expensive. They're quite expensive. And so we've had to mobilize capital, we've had to mobilize partners, but I'm pleased to say that the first one goes live at AfricaCom in November in Cape Town. It's been quite an extraordinary undertaking. But as Jensen Wang himself said, okay, we're all at ground zero now. So Africa is at the table. We're at ground zero. And what has stunned us, of course, as you know, Oswald, has been the number of people who have taken the capacity. As we go live with the first facility, we have no more capacity. We are already planning the rollout of the additional facilities. So facility 2, we are already, construction has started, which is Nairobi, Kenya. I just arrived in New York from Cairo, where we met the government of Egypt, and they said, Strive, we are ready. We are ready to receive the GPUs. And so we are already working on the delivery of Egypt. We're working on the delivery of the Nigerian facility and the Morocco facility. We thought it was going to take us 3 years. We will be done by December next year.
Thank you very much for that. One of the things that we have learned during this last 6 months is the fact that there's a number of problems that exist on this continent, and we need not let go of that opportunity of developing solutions to address our challenges on this continent so that we can take charge of those opportunities. Some of the services that we are looking at based on this infrastructure we have set up, it spans from what they call a GPU as a service. This is a model where you can rent this capacity and then you can utilize it for training, fine-tuning, and inferencing. A lot of startups on this continent in Nigeria, Cameroon, Egypt, Ethiopia, they are very active when it comes to the AI infrastructure. We met a gentleman from a company called Grok, not Elon Musk's Grok, and he told us that there's over 20,000 African developers and startups that are very active on the global compute infrastructure that is not on our continent. What that means is when this infrastructure is available, we have an opportunity to develop solutions and services using the GPU as a service model with some of our startups, our researchers, our enterprises, including our governments. The other area we're looking at is what we call AI for development. We have to address the challenges in education, agriculture, and also in healthcare. AI has a multiplier effect and a huge efficiency gain in some of those industries where all of you guys in the room, you're being called upon to find ways of building these skills, this capacity, and being able to take charge of some of this infrastructure that we have set up. The other area we're looking at is what we call the AI cloud. This is a sovereign cloud that is resident in a country because some of the smaller countries might not have the capacity of the larger hyperscale data centers. So we're also solving for sovereign nations as we go along. I'll take it back again to my chairman here. Let's talk a little bit, say, around some of the other partnerships outside Nvidia that we have looked at and why it's important that we work with African partners, global partners, and also students, researchers, as we build this AI ecosystem on the continent.
Thanks for that, Oswald. Well, look, going back to the original analogy, we build the infrastructure. Without the infrastructure, without the compute, Africa is a continent of users. We will use other people's systems, but our own young people will not launch businesses in this space. We're talking 20,000 young developers. It's extraordinary. Already developing their own apps, applications, solutions for problems they see every day in Africa. Today, little TikToks are being born. Little WhatsApps are being born in Lagos, in Harare, in Kibera. Okay? What they need is access to compute to run those workloads. You and some older ones like me may not know what compute, low workloads. Let me tell you, these guys know. They know exactly what they need because, no sooner than we had launched in Kigali, they were coming up and saying to me, oh, Mr. Masiyiwa, I'm doing the thing in Nigeria. I'm developing this in Nigeria. I'm developing this in Kenya. I said, where'd you get the compute from? They said, oh, we are getting access to the US and Malaysia and places like this. But now we have our own. okay? So there's no need to complain. There's no need to run to the World Bank and other people to ask them for money. We are building it, okay? But I'm only there to do the plumbing, okay? What happens from here on, it's up to them, okay? So yes, number one for us is the startup ecosystem. We have got to turn Africa into a startup continent. We have to drive wealth creation, jobs creation through entrepreneurship. And we have to drive through the entrepreneurship of the now, which is AI. Okay? So our job is to provide that. We build the power systems, get all that hard stuff in, then these young people will come in. But of course, AI opens up opportunity for incredible productivity gains for existing businesses. Most of our capacity has been taken up by banks. I mean, I won't mention the bank, but one South African bank had 75 AI computer engineers already hired. And they said, how much capacity do you have? They threatened to take all the capacity. And we said, no, slow down. You've got to share. And so the banks, the telecom companies, your mobile operators, they can now run workloads that will improve services, that will improve the capacity on their networks, allocate their network resources better, improve customer services, okay? All these things are now being enabled, and we're having those kind of conversations. But as you mentioned, we've got to build a lot of structures here. I'm pleased to announce that about now, a press statement is due to be released jointly between our company and Accenture on what we call the orchestration layer, which is the platform that enables us to unload all the customers, all the large enterprises in Africa, so that it becomes easier for them to access this platform. So the reality also is that governments, again, I can't mention governments by name, but we've got at least 5, 6 African governments that have already got very clear AI strategies. And they came to us and they said, okay, but we are not one of the regional centers. We said, no, those are just entry points. Because every African country has access. Right now, we did not even allow the South Africans to have all the capacity in South Africa because we said, no, it's available to the whole continent. This is part of a continental platform. It's designed to be a continental platform. So we are already taking in customers from other African countries, governments, so that they can run research facilities, improve government services, run the different applications for health and so forth. So we'll be announcing shortly a partnership with people like Rockefeller Foundation, who are working with us to develop solutions around agriculture and health, whilst we're talking to others about education. So already we are moving on from the infrastructure side to the uses.
Yeah, I think coming back to the conference, at the back there's a word called unstoppable that is all over this event. Why does compute matter to ensure Africa is unstoppable? I think that question lingers on many people's minds in the room probably, to say, what really does this compute mean for an unstoppable Africa? Your words of wisdom on that one.
Yeah, we're unstoppable. 1.3 billion people, $3 trillion GDP. A report from the GSMA, which I didn't fully agree with, but still was indicative. If we do the right things, particularly providing the hard infrastructure and allowing young people to use these platforms and develop their solutions, could see the African GDP up by 2.9 trillion in the next 10 years. That is virtually doubling our GDP. That's from the GSMA. Okay, not a particularly dynamic organization, but very conservative by my account. But they're talking about that. But even if we could realize half of that, Oswald, that's an extraordinary leap forward. We missed out on industrialization. But industrialization was factories that used electricity. AI is built through factories in which intelligence is the raw material. We've got to get all our data. We've got to turn this into products and services and solutions that will take us forward. That's why we are unstoppable. But if we do not, we can't speak our way to it. We have to act our way to it. Sometimes in Africa, we talk too much. It's time to do. Let's do. Okay, enough conferences. Okay, we got to walk out of here and go do. Okay, I'm 64 years old. I feel blessed to have seen the telecom revolution, but it required a generation of us who were telecom bandits. We went out and we created the Econets, the MTNs, the Vodacoms, the Glow Mobiles, African companies, by the way. We created them. And then came the internet revolution, and we sat it out. We sat it out. And others went and created the Amazons of this world, the Alibabas of this world, and we sat out and we just sat in the glow of what we did in the mobile industry. Now AI is here. We cannot be users, consumers, and hope to go to the future on that basis. Yes, it's great that you're downloading ChatGPT and so forth. I have no problem with that. But I want you to be downloading the platforms that our young people are going to create because we open doors for them. Yes, the infrastructure is one thing, but we need to make sure that we open up access to finance, access to skills. The most important thing for me on AI, the most important urgency right now is where I started when I was talking about that Chinese mandate and why it troubled me and challenged me at the same time. We cannot do anything if we don't get our education right. Our education needs to pivot to maths and science. That's not to say we don't do all the other stuff, but we will not be at the table if we do not produce more kids that are driving through on maths and science. So please promise me that you will focus on maths and science, because that's what China and India are doing so well ahead of us. Okay? We can do that. Then I would add that we got to skill up. Okay? We need to train at least 10 million young people over the next 5 years in AI skills. AI has got to be a literacy in of its own. So AI literacy is fundamental for everyone. So that's where I would say, if we do those things, we absolutely will be unstoppable.
Thank you very much for those remarks. I think we've run out of time. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Good to see you again. Thank you.